It makes a lot of sense to be cautious with crypto. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I'm one of the most careful people in the entire space. I reject most altcoins, but just most altcoins. There are a few exceptions, and Hyperliquid is one of those exceptions. This here is the hype price relative to the rest of the altcoin market. How much does hype outperform the rest? And I know what you're thinking looking at a chart like this. This is just another pump and dump yet again. But what are the reasons for hype to outperform the rest of the altcoin market by more than 1,000% over the course of 1.5 years? For example, Hyperliquid now allows to trade various traditional finance assets, including SpaceX stocks. It also sees inflows from a dedicated ETF. Pretty much every day, Wall Street is buying hype. And that's all happening while at the same time, Hyperliquid is already the largest decentralized exchange with a market cap of 15 billion. Number 2, which is a spot trading exchange, is Uniswap with close to 2 billion. But how much growth potential is there really when the market cap is already that high? Hi, my name is Gerhard. I've been in the crypto space for the last 8 years. I hit my first million 3 years ago, and I did this mainly through active trading of altcoins. My track record is linked down below. In the last 2 years, I started publishing my trades in real time to the premium members of this channel. And during that time, we achieved 47% per annum in return. We are currently, when we include the open positions, at a new all-time high. Of course, the current open positions are not here in YouTube. That's again for premium, but every closed position, it can be seen over here. Feel free to check out the track record. I don't know many people in the space that are willing to share their data in that much detail. Now, why does Hyperliquid get that much adoption? Again, we can trade traditional finance assets using perpetual futures, so using levered instruments on prices. And that opens opportunities. So it's not just the retail investor that's trading here. There are a lot of professional traders as well that do funding rate arbitrage, for example. If we use leverage on Hyperliquid, for example, we have to fund that leverage. And those funding rates fluctuate based on demand and supply. And there's money to be made with those fluctuations. For example, here, this is our funding rate arbitrage platform. I'm not going to share the exact assets, but there are ways to make, without any price risk, up to 80% APY. Now that fluctuates as said, but check this out. This is the funding rate of this particular asset. The way this fundamentally works is that we bet on a falling price, say on Hyperliquid, and then at the same time, we bet on a rising price by buying that asset, let's say in a brokerage account. So the two positions cancel each other out and we just collect the funding fees in the process. That's one of the arbitrage opportunities that we follow, and it's enabled by Hyperliquid, and it's one of the drivers for the adoption of the platform. Have a look at the funding rate of the Hype token itself. This comes now directly from the Hyperliquid platform. This also tends to be rather high most of the time. So what we can do here, just with Hype, we can bet on a falling Hype price on Hyperliquid. We can then buy the Hype token on the spot market and pocket the 30% per annum long term. And yes, there is some risk here. The funding rate can go negative, but again, it's about risk versus reward. It's a risk of minus 2.5% for potential reward of 30 or 40%. That's the kind of more advanced place that most people in the space don't follow, especially the regular retail investor. But it's actually not that complicated. We just have to learn how to set it up and how to track those numbers. Trading strategies like this have helped the Hyperliquid platform enormously. Here is the TVL, the total value locked on the platform. It's now close to an all-time high at $6 billion. The HLP, so that's the market maker of Hyperliquid, also continues to make money constantly. This jump over here, that was the 10th of October, when Binance mispriced their assets and Hyperliquid took advantage of that. Now, there are many news on X, formerly known as Twitter. For example, this Hyperliquid whale, he sold 184,000 Hype tokens, so that's $13 million, to then just buy it back a few moments afterwards again. Then there's of course the competition. So Ondo Finance is now tokenizing stocks, but that competition is still mainly in the building phase. We don't see enough adoption yet. And so that's why Ondo Finance, for example, underperforms Hyperliquid quite consistently. Now this is a Hyperliquid video, not an Ondo Finance video, but I just want to make you aware how hype is dominating the space. This is not something that's getting thrown over anytime soon. But of course, there are people throwing shade. So this is CZ of Binance claiming that Hyperliquid is not decentralized, and apparently whatever they are doing will require good lawyers. And yes, to a degree, Hyperliquid probably isn't that decentralized, but it doesn't require KYC. And that's probably also one of the main drivers. That's why Binance has a hard time competing. That's why Hyperliquid takes away more and more market share. By the way, if you are on X, formerly known as Twitter as well, then feel free to also check out the account of this channel. I publish various data points on cryptocurrency regularly over here. Make sure that you follow the right account though. So that's at BitcoinStrat. Please do not follow a fake account. This here is the only real account at BitcoinStrat. Now it appears as if the rise of the hype token is very volatile, as in there's a lot of risk. We can potentially lose temporarily up to 80% over here or up to 65% over here. But really, a lot of that volatility just comes from the entire space going down. When we look at Hyperliquid relative to Bitcoin, then the volatility is much more muted. 64% over here and 53% over here. And yes, there is a case to be made that just within this trading range, Hyperliquid is currently rather expensive than cheap. But in the end, it's all a game of marginal demand versus marginal supply, as in who's buying the hype token, who's potentially selling it. Now, the buyers are the users of hype. If you buy hype tokens, then you can stake them and then you can get reduced trading fees. That's what I personally do as well. You can also use hype again for this arbitrage trade we just talked about. But then there's also potential selling. Now that selling is token unlocks, as in the team gets new tokens over time. Now apparently those tokens don't get sold as quickly as the team is allowed to sell them, as in they're just holding off. They rather let the price appreciate. But if you look at the hype supply over time, even net after buybacks, we definitely do have an inflating cryptocurrency. 1 year from now, the supply will grow by 20 to 30%. But also 1 year ago, the total value locked of Hyperliquid had been roughly half of what it is today. So the usage has doubled, the token inflation has grown less than 2x, and that's of course the reason for the outperformance. We can also see how now the masses are waking up more and more to the situation, as in there's more and more social engagements. That's currently at an all-time high. Hyperliquid is getting noticed. Also, more and more creators are talking about Hyperliquid. Now, we've been talking about Hyperliquid for more than a year on this channel. And for good reason. The funding rate of hype, so now we're looking at the trading volume on the perpetual futures, it tends to be positive. In other words, the people that are trading the product, that are trading those derivatives, they tend to bet on a rising price of hype long term. Most altcoins do not have a persistently positive funding rate. What this means is that the people that are in the trenches, that are actually using the product, they are bullish on hype and they are willing to pay financing fees for that positive outlook. And we can also see how that's not just a leverage-driven rally, as in the price moves very much in sync with the open interest. This is a spot-driven rally. No surprise when Wall Street is buying spot regularly as well. And so you might have already guessed it from the tone of this video, I am very bullish on hype. I do think that it's one of the few cryptocurrencies that actually found product market fit, and that's through tokenization of various assets. Now, this channel has various copy trading strategies deployed on Hyperliquid as well. For example, a Bitcoin trend follower. It targets to outperform buying and holding Bitcoin. We started in October of last year, and while Bitcoin since then lost almost half of its value, this vault is up measured in Bitcoin by 80%. So annualized, that's 134%. There are other trend followers for Ethereum and Solana, but those are on Gravity, not on Hyperliquid. The idea is rather straightforward. So there are several backtests or simulations of buying and selling Bitcoin over time. We found what worked best historically, and then we are applying those trading rules in live trading on Hyperliquid. That's here the historical outperformance. So the backtest implies 115% per annum over buying and holding, and we are currently slightly above that. Now, why do we see Hyperliquid succeed that much? I think it's because it's one of the very first movers that started decentralized perpetual futures trading. Thus, there have been a lot of people entering the space, providing liquidity and making the trading very efficient. But also, it's a very stable platform. It's a very cheap platform to trade with, as in we can get in and out of a position without paying an arm and a leg. And that's why the derivatives market is now outpacing the spot market in terms of growth. If you want to get in and out of assets frequently, using perpetual futures, using derivatives is much more capital efficient compared to buying spot. Yes, the token is inflationary, but I don't think that's a major problem. Token inflation is only a problem if the demand for the token doesn't grow as quickly as the supply. It's always about the growth of both of those, right? If the supply grows, but the demand grows faster than that, it's all fine. Now, every platform has some risk, of course. There could be, for example, a hack of the platform. We see $1 billion worth of hacks every single month in decentralized finance. And using artificial intelligence, executing those kinds of hacks also becomes easier and more accessible. But if I had to choose one single cryptocurrency that's not Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana, I think Hyperliquid is probably the best bet. It has real adoption, it has real growth, and the tokenomics are also reasonable. At the same time, we do see demand by Wall Street. There are risks, but I do think that the potential rewards outweigh the risks. More information on the automatic copy trading is in the link down below. So just click over here. There's also a track record if you want to just manually copy trade whatever I do. There's also my track record over here with all the closed positions. So just feel free to check out the link down below. And if it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe as well. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. Helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in Premium. Link to that pops up here on the screen as well. See you next time. Cheers.